neighborhood on the outskirts of Denver, Colorado. It was a sleek, modern house, all glass walls and sharp angles, with a panoramic view of the snow-dusted forest behind it. I spent most of the day lounging around, playing with their two golden retrievers, Max and Ruby. As the evening rolled in, the house felt eerily silent. Around 8 p.m., I started hearing faint noises, soft thumps, almost like someone tapping on the glass. I dismissed it, thinking it might be tree branches swaying in the wind, but by 9:30 p.m., the dogs were growling, staring intently at the sliding glass doors leading to the backyard. I turned on the patio lights but saw nothing. To reassure myself, I locked every door and window. Still, the uneasiness lingered. Around 11 p.m., while scrolling through my phone on the couch, I caught movement out of the corner of my eye. A shadow darted across the backyard. My stomach dropped. Minutes later, my phone buzzed, a notification from the security app. The camera by the back door had detected motion. I tapped the notification, and the live feed showed a man in a heavy coat and ski mask standing motionless on the patio, staring directly into the camera. My heart raced. I called the police immediately, stumbling over my words as I described the situation. As I stayed on the line, the man stepped closer to the glass door, raising a gloved hand as if to knock. The operator assured me officers were en route, but the next time I glanced at the camera, he was gone. When the police arrived, they found footprints in the snow leading from the woods to the patio and then back into the trees. The officers said it was likely a would-be burglar who'd fled when he realized someone was home. But later that night, after the police left, I found something they hadn't. A small, folded piece of paper tucked under the mat by the back door. Scrawled in jagged handwriting were 3 words. "See you soon." I didn't sleep a second after that. It was New Year's Eve 2024, and I had plans to keep things low-key. My girlfriend Haley and I had just moved into a rental house in Asheville, North Carolina. It wasn't anything extravagant, but it had a cozy charm: hardwood floors, a fireplace, and a large backyard. We were still settling in, with half-filled boxes scattered everywhere. Haley had to work late that night, so I decided to spend the evening unpacking, planning to surprise her with a tidy home when she got back. By 9 p.m., I had made decent progress. I was folding clothes in the bedroom when I thought I heard something outside, a soft rustling, almost like leaves blowing in the wind. The backyard was surrounded by thick trees, so it wasn't unusual to hear nature sounds. Still, it felt off. I peeked out the window but didn't see anything. Shrugging it off, I returned to unpacking. An hour later, while I was in the living room, I heard it again. This time it sounded closer, like something brushing against the side of the house. I grabbed a flashlight and headed to the back door, stepping cautiously onto the porch. The cold air bit at my skin as I scanned the yard, but everything seemed normal. Just as I turned to go back inside, I noticed something strange. The garden gate was open. I distinctly remembered closing it earlier. Feeling uneasy, I locked the back door and texted Haley. "Did you leave the gate open earlier? Maybe a neighbor's pet got in?" She replied minutes later. "Nope. Be careful, babe. Probably just the wind." I tried to shake off the uneasiness and went back to unpacking. By midnight, I was sitting on the couch, sipping a beer and watching fireworks light up the sky through the window. It was supposed to be a peaceful moment, but then I noticed something in the backyard, a faint flicker of movement near the trees. I froze, my heart racing. Grabbing the flashlight again, I cautiously approached the window, keeping the curtains mostly closed. In the faint moonlight, I could make out a figure standing near the tree line. They weren't moving, just standing there staring toward the house. I backed away from the window, my pulse hammering. I called Haley, whispering into the phone, "There's someone in the backyard." She immediately told me to call the police, but I hesitated. What if it was just a prank or a neighbor? Still, I grabbed a kitchen knife and turned off all the lights. I peeked out again, and the figure was gone. Minutes passed like hours. Every creak of the house made me jump. I locked every door and window, double-checking each one. Just as I was starting to calm down, there was a knock at the front door. It wasn't a loud, aggressive knock, just a soft, deliberate tapping. I held my breath, knife in hand, and crept toward the door. Through the peephole, I could see someone in a hooded jacket. their face obscured. "Who's there?" I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. No answer. The knocking stopped, but moments later I heard footsteps crunching on the gravel driveway. I peeked through the living room window and saw the figure walking toward the street, where a car was idling with its headlights off. I didn't sleep that night. Haley came home around 2 a.m. to find me sitting in the dark, gripping the knife. She thought I was overreacting until we checked the backyard the next morning. Near the tree line, we found footprints in the soft dirt. They led to the garden gate, which was open again, and disappeared into the woods. To this day, we don't know who it was or what they wanted, but we added extra locks and security cameras to the house. Whenever I hear the faint rustling of leaves, I can't help but feel like someone's watching. It was December 31st, New Year's Eve, and I was dog sitting for my cousin Liam. He had a miniature golden retriever named Daisy and had asked me to stay at his apartment in Portland while he was away celebrating the New Year with his friends. At 33, I had no desire to hit the town for wild parties, so I agreed. It seemed like an easy gig. Liam's apartment was small but cozy, situated on the 4th floor of a modern building in a quiet neighborhood. He gave me simple instructions: feed Daisy twice a day, take her on short walks, and keep her off the couch. Daisy was incredibly well behaved, so I wasn't expecting any issues. I brought my laptop, a book, and enough snacks to keep me entertained. By 9 p.m., I had settled into the living room with a blanket and Daisy curled up at my feet. I was halfway through a movie when I heard the buzzer for the main entrance. Slightly annoyed, I got up to answer it. A woman's voice crackled through the intercom. "Hi, I'm April. I left my jacket in Liam's apartment earlier. Can I come grab it?" It seemed plausible. Liam was always hosting friends, and I figured he might have forgotten to mention someone stopping by. She sounded friendly, so I buzzed her in. Moments later, there was a knock at the door. The woman standing there looked about 30. She had wavy brown hair tucked into a knit hat, a scarf wrapped loosely around her neck, and an oversized jacket. She explained that she'd left something in the bedroom and knew exactly where to find it. Against my better judgment, I let her in. She moved quickly, heading straight for Liam's room. The door didn't shut completely, and I could hear her rummaging around. Uneasy, I texted Liam, "Hey, someone named April said she left her jacket here. She's in your room. Is this okay?" Minutes passed with no response. When she emerged, she was holding a jacket but didn't look at me. "Thanks," as she muttered before walking out the door. By now, I was thoroughly unsettled. Liam finally replied, sounding confused. "I don't know anyone named April. What does she look like?" Panic set in as I described her. His response was immediate in all caps. "She doesn't know me. Check my room, now." I rushed into his room and frantically searched for anything out of place. As far as I could tell, nothing was missing. Still, I couldn't shake the creeping dread. Liam called moments later, his voice sharp with fear. "Lock the doors and don't let anyone in. She might come back. I'll explain later." The rest of the night felt like a blur of paranoia. Around 11:30 p.m., Daisy suddenly lifted her head and started growling at the door. Moments later, a soft knock echoed through the apartment. I froze. Whoever it was didn't ring the buzzer this time. They knocked again, more insistent this time. I called Liam, but he didn't answer. Daisy's growling grew louder, and I could feel my pulse hammering in my chest. I whispered to Daisy to stay quiet, but she wouldn't stop. The knocking ceased, and I thought it was over, until I heard faint scratching at the door. I decided to call the police, but as I reached for my phone, I saw movement outside the window. Peering through the blinds, I spotted two figures standing by a car across the street, watching the building. My stomach dropped. One of them was wearing the same knit hat as April. The next 30 minutes felt like an eternity. I kept every light off and stayed near Daisy, holding her tightly to keep her from barking. When the clock struck midnight, fireworks erupted outside, masking the sounds of footsteps in the hallway. When I finally gathered the courage to check the peephole, the hallway was empty, but on the floor, just outside the door, was Liam's spare key. I grabbed it and immediately threw it into a drawer, locking it inside. The next morning, Liam called, explaining the situation. The woman matched the description of someone who had been stalking one of his friends, a toxic and obsessive ex who had caused problems in the past. The spare key must have been taken while she was in his room. Liam replaced all the locks and installed extra security cameras that same day. To this day, I still feel a cold shiver when I think about how close I came to opening the door that night. I haven't dog sat for Liam since,